Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're gonna talk about mental health. Well, I wanted to talk about mental health for a while, but I needed to be ready. Which, if you're suffering from any mental health illness, I feel you. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of self-encouragement to put yourself out there and really talk about your own life and your own issues because it is so personal. But today I want to talk about something that I have been trying for, I would say it's an improvement for myself, and that is going off of my medication. I don't think I've ever said it out loud on my channel. I have general anxiety disorder and depression. Those two I've had for clinically diagnosed about 4 years now, but I probably had them since I was a kid. Like ever since I known myself, I had this. There's also one other thing that I've been working on, but that's not something I'm ready to share because that's a bit more personal. Well, I mean, all of these are personal, but that's a bit more fresh. So I don't want to talk about it now. But when I feel ready, if I ever feel ready to talk about that, I will share my own experiences. But that one also I had since I could remember myself as a child. So going off my medication, I just want to talk about why I wanted to do this and what are some of my tips and tricks while I'm trying to go off my meds. Because it's not my first trial. I've done this. I've gone off my meds maybe 3 or 4 times now. Every single time I got back on my meds. It's never fun or encouraging going back to your medication if you feel like going off your medication was an improvement for yourself and for your mental health. I want to just put a disclaimer. I do not encourage anyone going on their medication or off their medication. This is such a personal experience. Nothing mental health wise could be generalized. It's everybody's own experience. I mean, of course, some of the symptoms and some of my tricks might be helpful, but if it doesn't work for you, please don't take it as like a clinical or diagnosis, whatever, each to their own when it comes to mental health. Just seek professional help. Go to a doctor, go to a psychiatrist, therapist, get the help you need. This is not a joke. In many countries, I feel like it's not a stigma, but some people don't really care about it. Or in Turkey, when I say I have anxiety, all people go like, oh, everyone in Turkey has anxiety. Well, yeah, but that doesn't make my experience less important or less valuable or easier. Yeah, everybody may have anxiety, then everyone should seek help. Like that doesn't devalue my experience. I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there as a start because the reason I'm shooting this video is not to make anyone feel bad or not to discourage anyone, but just to maybe share some tips that I feel like it's going to be helpful for me this time. It's also going to be a wonderful evidence for me if I decide to go back on my medication, and 100% if I go back on my medication, I will shoot another video and talk about why I felt the urge to go back. In about 3 months, if I don't go back on my meds, I'll shoot another video talking about my experience longer term. Now it's been about a little over a month since I'm off the meds. Let's jump in. Why? I want to start about the reason why, because it's important to spot when you are ready without confusing that high. Because what happens is when you start taking your medication for a long time, you hit a plateau, feeling empowered, feeling powerful, feeling confident in yourself. But you have to make sure that that is a long-term feeling, and it's not just your medication is kicking in and you're finally feeling enough or you're feeling normal. Because if you don't take care of that feeling and if you don't support that feeling with real actions, then when you stop your medication, it's just gonna go down and then you're gonna suffer again. So this time I felt that, okay, this is not just my feeling ready or that feeling from my medication where I feel good enough that I can be off of my medication. Like I'm actually taking care of some of the issues in my life, some of my mindset. I'm trying to have a better roadmap or an action plan if anything goes bad. Basically, this time I was able to diagnose that feeling and make sure that it's beyond a feeling, if that makes sense. Because when you have anxiety, you have a lot of feelings and you have a lot of thoughts. You can't trust all of that. So that needs to be rooted. That needs to be stern, you know? So it is beyond a feeling. It's more of a rooted thing, rooted thought. It's more of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm actually ready this time. That was number one. I was able to spot that. Number two is personally and environmentally, I have a better support system this time. My inner support system is much more stronger. I'm at a point in my life where I feel independent mentally. Like I have been economically or independent for a long time now, but I'm mentally feeling powerful to stay on my ground. My happiness does not depend on my boyfriend, my dog, my friends, or my family. It's very easy to say that, and it's very easy to be like, duh, yeah. But it's so hard for me to do that. It's so hard for me to not to put my happiness in my success at work, my relationship, my friendship, or anything. It's really hard. It's something I've struggled for a long time. For the first time in a very, very long time, I know my happiness comes from within and not from anything else. But it is also highly related. My external relationship, my romantic relationship is so empowering for me because it's everything that I wanted in a relationship. So that is taking a lot of anxiety, like taking a lot of pressure off my life. My friendships I have been so lucky with my friends in life, so God bless all of them, but like they never induce anxiety or any bad feelings to me. So that also takes a lot of pressure. My family, I am able to mend that relationship in a way that it doesn't induce anxiety in any scenario to me. So internally, in order to arrive at that point, I had to take care of a lot of the external factors, and I feel ready. So my support system is very much in place. And I know this time, if I need help, I'm gonna seek help. I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I've gone off my meds and I'm suffering. To arrive at this internal point, I had to be comfortable in my external environment. This is the third thing I want to talk about. Knowing your cues. Knowing yourself is probably one of the best tools you can use if you have any sort of mental health, like with anxiety and depression. Knowing what triggers you, cutting them off if possible, if not, trying to limit their access to you, and basically staying away from those environments. But if you're not able to do that and you have been exposed to that environment, know your cues. Know when something is triggering from you and take off yourself from that situation. Like just leave or go to the bathroom. Like find a song that is really soothing. Spending time with my dog is my relaxing tips for me. And your cues will be different for each mental illness. My cues are so different from my depression or my anxieties. Well, interestingly, some of my cues for depression is actually, I'm going to give a very personal example here. Weekends are usually my like cleaning time, my organizing time, my spending just home time. I'm a homebody. My leisure time, my favorite time is when I'm at home peacefully, not having like whole house collapsing on me with everything. So when the house is clean, I love to organize. One of my cues for depression is when I no longer want to organize my house, when I'm just tired and I don't want to do any of that, because usually that gives me pleasure. And this is a cue, but one of my soothing things about anxiety is to stop myself from organizing and just having some rest. So when I don't want to clean the house, or organize, not clean, but when I don't want to organize the house, I have to make sure to go in my brain and ask, is this because this is a depression cue? Like I don't want to organize the house because depression is really kicking in? Or am I now making a conscious decision to relax and not organize, to soothe myself, to have that rest time? Because anxiety is like, blah, 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 blah. So this is why it's important to know yourself. Because sometimes your brain makes the most wonderful decisions about rest, but sometimes it makes the worst decisions, assist mental health to like, so the brain, man, this is why I can never trust my feelings and my thoughts like this, because like the gut feeling, or you know what's best for you, that sort of stuff. I understand, but if you're suffering from anxiety and depression, sometimes there's no thing as like a gut feeling. Your gut tells you 1,000 things. And after all of that, when everything goes down, something inevitable happens and the anxiety kicks in, depression kicks in, whatever, at some point it's gonna kick in. Like, you need to know that. That's the whole thing why we started the meds and seek help. Before you seek help, I would suggest to have a plan for yourself. For example, if I have a busy week, if I have a lot of triggers within the week, and if I try to like calm myself a lot during the week, with work, with life, with anything, I take some time off for myself before I have a breakdown or before I have anything, and I plan something nice for myself. I plan maybe half a day or a full day or a full weekend, whatever I think I need. Before anything gets worse, I try to replenish my energy that I lost during the week. This could be, for me, for example, my amazing ritual that it really suits me in the mornings, weekends, is I make coffee, I go on YouTube, and I watch 2 or 3 videos of my favorite people. And this is a tricky one, because if it goes beyond 2 or 3, and if it's like 4 or 5, then the guilt starts kicking in. Oh, you're not being productive. You're not doing enough for yourself. You're being a lazy couch potato. This is not what a weekend is supposed to look like. You're supposed to start your day, organizing, blah, 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 like hold that. So it's important for me to make sure that I limit it to 2 or 3 before I start feeling worse. Because it's like this, I start feeling good, and then so I stop myself at the top of that graphic, and then I go and like take the dog out for a walk, or eat something that makes me feel good about myself. Have an action plan that actually works for you, and don't take anybody's advice on it. People have advice on a lot of things. What is very interesting is, because they don't understand what medication means to me, they're not 100% on board with it. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that people who are closest to you do not have to approve of what you take or what your decision is about your mental health. They don't need to understand. You don't have to explain. You don't have to seek their approval. You don't need anybody's approval about this, because you're taking this medication in order to make yourself better in the long term. None of them were there when my shit got worse, when I had major attacks, major episodes, major shit going down. It was always me. It was just me, and I always wanted to happen like that. One thing about me is, when my shit gets worse, I tend to push people away, and that's how I deal with it. I don't need anybody's input, good or bad. I just don't need it. And I'm always solo in the worst moments of my life. So that's probably why people never see me break down, and people always see me as like a strong, bubbly, happy person. But deep down, I know what could be bad, what could go wrong for me. So I am the only person who needs to approve of what I'm doing. And believe me, I'm 29 years old, and it took me a long time to be happy and content with my life. And it took me I don't think I ever realized this since maybe 6 or 7 months ago. Like, it's just me that needs to, maybe even less than that, maybe 3 or 4 months. I don't need anybody's approval about this. I don't need anybody's approval on anything I do, but specifically my mental health, my medication, That's my thing. That's inside of my brain. That's my most challenging part of my life. You don't get to say anything about it. Nobody gets to say anything about it besides me and my doctor, obviously, who's a professional. So going off your meds is as hard as going on your meds, making that decision. But I feel proud of myself for making this change, because this is an improvement for me. For some people, it might not be. My decision for myself was finally stop at some point with my meds when I feel ready. But if you want to do it forever, like, you do you. Who am I to say anything? Like I said, for me, I wanted to stop at some point, and now I am hopefully ready. I'm ready to do that. But if I ever go on back on my medication, we're gonna cross that bridge if we ever get there. Maybe we'll never get there. Maybe we will. Well, life, you can only plan so much. And that is going to be my experience about this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I just know that if you're suffering from anything mentally, I'm sending huge love to you. I'm sending so much positivity to you, because you're not alone. You're never alone. And that's the beauty of internet. We can be connected to people who live on the other side of the world, who don't live in our neighborhood, but go through probably the similar stuff that we go through. Just reach out to seek help. Don't lose your hope. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to support me in any way, just please subscribe, like this video. I'm probably going to be doing more mental health videos, because that's my favorite topic to talk about, because why not? And I'll see you next week, if everyone in my family is still healthy and I don't have to go back to hospitals or anything like that. So I'll see you next week. But if anything bad happens, I probably won't, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it, because this is a hobby. I need to remind myself I'm doing YouTube to feel good about myself, to talk to people and have a community, and not feel like shit when I can't upload anything, because this is a hobby. This is what I do to feel good, and your hobby should not make you feel bad. If you skip a week, or if you skip 3 weeks, that's okay. You get back. You get back to it. You don't lose hope. You just get back to it. That's what I'm doing this week. I'm shooting this on a Sunday, and I'm probably going to upload it in like an hour. And that's okay. I love this. I love talking. Well, otherwise, why would I do this? But have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.